بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. From Abadu, my brothers and sisters, this beautiful grass that is behind me, I don't know if you can see it, but I want to show you. See, this is the way the leaf is. It's got these white stripes on the leaf. This edge is extremely sharp. It's like a knife. It's serrated. It has minute serrations, and it can cut like a knife. So if you run your hand over it, you're gone. And this particular bush of glass, if I can call it that, is, if I'm not mistaken, my friend told me it's about 30 or 40 years old. So this grass is old. And it's like this. I mean, and this is I'm in Wilbraham in Massachusetts. So it gets extremely cold here in the winters. There have been times when temperatures go to -20 routinely. Sometimes they go even more than that. Yet this grass survives. I mean, this is one of the great survival stories of the creation of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Subhanallah al-Azim, Subhanallah bihamdi. So I thought, let me show you this grass. You can see in the picture also, if you look, you can see these beautiful stripes on the grass. It's not just the sun, but this is actual white coloring on the grass. And why it has that and so on, I really don't know, but it's very beautiful to see. My brothers and sisters, we are in the session of the lessons from the Anbiya alayhi salam in the beautiful life of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And we are today on the third part of that, which is his unquestioning obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now one of the things that religion is blamed, and religious people are unjustly blamed and maligned for, is for being brainless, for being stupid. Karl Marx called religion opiate of the masses. He said it's like a drug. And people believe blindly, without thinking, without any data, without any evidence. They just believe, and then they obey again blindly. Now, I'm not saying that none of that is true. It is true in many cases. People do believe blindly. People do believe without any evidence, without any data. And that's how there are so many superstitions that go around in the world in the name of religion. So religious people have got a bad rap, and the bad rap that they've got is not entirely undeserved. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but that is also a reality. It's not entirely undeserved. Some of that bad rap is true, but this is not Islam. This is not Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this very clearly in the Quran many times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to think. He told us to reflect. He told us to look at His signs, look at His creation. I'm showing you one of them, before which I'm sitting, and this grass behind me. This is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Reflect on this thing and say, why is this grass this way? Why is it colored like this? And if this coloring is the best thing for grasses, then why is not every grass colored like that? Because if we say that things evolve in a way where what is best for survival is what remains, and what is not so good dies away, then there really should not be any variety of creation in the world, right? By that logic, because only the best will survive. So even if you started off, and obviously that whole thing is not logical, because evolution also talks about starting from a very basic form to becoming more and more complex. And if that is the case, then how do we explain the fact of so much of variety? Because if only the best obviously means you're saying that there's only one thing which can be the best. By definition, that's what best is, and that the rest of it dies off. Then why is there any variety at all, right? So it's something for us to think and reflect on, that blind belief is not religion. Whereas Islam promotes belief with thought, belief with knowledge. Islam promotes belief with complete understanding. The deeper the understanding, the better the knowledge, the stronger the belief. Remember, nobody understood or can understand the greatness and glory and magnificence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than His prophets, better than the Anbiya alayhimus salam. They are the ones who know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the best and the closest, and who have a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which is unlike that of any other human being on the face of the earth. These are the people who receive word directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a variety of ways. Some of them spoke to him directly. Some of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed His signs in different ways. Some of them received the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the agency of Jibreel alayhi salam. Some of them received the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through other means which Allah knows best. So these are the people, the Anbiya alayhi salam are the people who know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the best. There's no one who can say that he knows Allah better than the Nabi alayhi salam. And these were the people who were also the most obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no one more obedient than the Nabi, right? And how is that obedience? Is that obedience blind obedience without knowing? Did they have no knowledge? We are saying already that they had the best knowledge. They had the most knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they also that knowledge of Allah produced in them obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not the opposite, not disobedience. The knowledge produced obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the thing to understand in Islam. Obedience is the product of knowledge. It is not the product of ignorance. Obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not superstition. It is not some unsubstantiated belief that comes out of what my forefathers used to do or anything like that. It is the understanding, it is the knowledge, it is the experience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives. So the better we know Allah, the more we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the purpose of knowledge, is to know so that we can obey. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this question of unquestioning obedience, the issue of unquestioning obedience in Surah Al-Baqarah with respect to Ibrahim alayhi salam, whose life we are trying to study. Allah said, إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. See this beautiful ayah. Allah said, when his Rabb said to him, submit, he said, I have submitted to the Rabb of the Alameen, to the creator, the sustainer, the maintainer, the protector of everything that he has created. When he said submit, meaning become Muslim, meaning be a Muslim, meaning submit to the will of Allah, he said, I have submitted. He didn't even say, I will submit. He said, I have submitted. قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. My brothers and sisters, this is the result of understanding who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. This is the whole issue of Ibrahim alayhi salam, where Ibrahim alayhi salam talked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him knowledge of himself, where Ibrahim alayhi salam submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My brothers and sisters, we need to ask ourselves this question and say that what is the meaning of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in my life? So if I say that I am submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what exactly am I talking about? What exactly is the meaning of submission as far as I am concerned? My brothers and sisters, on the subject of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the subject of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as I mentioned, submission in Islam is not submission without knowledge, it is not ignorance, it is not superstition, it is not blind obedience. It is obedience with knowledge. Let me give you an example to illustrate this. Ta'ala Allahul Amthal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is over and elevated and above any examples that we give. We give examples to illustrate, to try to help us to understand using our own personal life and personal life experiences. Say you go to a, say you have, may Allah protect you from all kinds of health issues, but say you have a health problem, right? You need to, you're not feeling well, so you go to a hospital and you are examined by maybe one, maybe more physicians, and one of whom is a cardiologist, another one who is a pulmonologist, and so on and so forth. Now tell me, how many times have you asked those people for their credentials? Did you ask the cardiologist, hold on a second, before you touch me, show me your certificate. Where did you qualify from? Which university, which medical school, which medical college? Show me that. Did you say that? You didn't say that. Not. So if you are taking, going to that hospital, and if you are obeying that doctor, and if you are taking the medicine he prescribes, and if I tell you, you are blindly obeying somebody, that's blind obedience, what will you tell me? You will tell me that is not blind obedience, because before I went to that place, I checked out the place. I mean, you should do this. I mean, if you are not doing that, then something is wrong with you. I think seriously, you will tell me, I checked out that place. I found out about that place. I found out about those doctors and those specialists who are in that place. I convinced myself, I satisfied myself that here is a hospital and here are people who know their business. They are highly qualified. And then I went to them, and now when I go to them, I don't have to ask them for their certificate, because I already know. I have already found out about them, and I have convinced myself, and I am trusting them, and I have full faith in their capability. So I don't have to ask them those questions. When they are prescribing a drug, I take it. When I take that, I'm not taking it blindly. I'm taking it because I have knowledge. I didn't go to a carpenter to ask him for treatment for my heart disease. I didn't go to a motor mechanic to fix my heart just because he can fix a car engine. And I don't go to a cardiologist to fix my car engine just because he is a cardiologist. And therefore, within quotes, his qualification is bigger and or more, more prestigious than that of a motor mechanic. I go to the right expert for the right thing, because that is good sense. Right? So where is the blind faith in that? This is not blind faith, this is faith with knowledge. We know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. That is the reason why we have to spend time in reflection, in introspection, in looking around us, in looking at the creation of the heavens and the earth, in understanding and convincing ourselves that there is Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, that nothing happens in this world without the knowledge and without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalaluhu. Today the world is reeling under COVID. Our whole lives have changed. SubhanAllah, I mean, imagine we are the generation when history is written, and if somebody remembers our names, they will say that these were the people who first encountered COVID. These were the people who were first hit. Our lives have changed. I mean, I travel around the world, and I haven't gone anywhere for the last 1 year. I have not sat in a plane for the last 1 year. Tell me, when was the last time that happened to me? I normally, not only do I travel in planes every year, I travel in planes many times every year. Many times every year. I have a gold card on Emirates, and I didn't get that by buying it. But now, last 1 year, I haven't been near an airport. I haven't gone anywhere close to a plane. Stopped. And I'm not alone. The entire airline industry is reeling under this. The entire hotel industry is reeling under this. Why? Think about this. This is the khudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the power of the Creator Jalla Jalalu. We get hassled. Oh, this happened, that happened. My brothers and sisters, recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because then obedience will become very easy. And obedience is essential, because if we, like I give the example of this cardiologist. If I want to live a healthy life, then I need to follow the orders of my doctor. Just yesterday I discovered that I have arthritis. My mother had arthritis. She had very severe arthritis. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill her qabr with noor, both my parents inshallah, and grant them Jannatul Firdaus without hisab. But I discovered yesterday, my idea of mentioning this here is to request you to make dua for me inshallah. But I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, Ya Allah, 64 years, I didn't have it. I wandered all over the world. Wildlife photography is a passion of mine. And if my knees stop working, I will not be able to do that. So I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep my knees functioning, and to keep me mobile, and to allow me to go climb hills, and go in and out of forests, and take pictures of his creations, to show the whole world what a beautiful creation that He has created. My brothers and sisters, this is the khudrat of Allah. You see the khudrat of Allah, you recognize the khudrat of Allah, some of it in things that you might like, some of it in things that you might not like, some of it in things that may give us pleasure, some of it in things that may give us pain. But in all of this, it is the khudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the benefits of COVID, I mean, those of you who listen to the Fajr reminders, I'm doing a series on couple of parts on that. One of the benefits of COVID, and this is what I'm saying, this is the first generation, our generation. Did you ever imagine if somebody had told you, now we are sitting here in August of 2020, if somebody had told you in August of 2019, just 1 year ago, that very soon this whole world is going to come to a stop. Imagine this conversation you're having with this friend of yours. You're saying to this friend, in 1 year, less than 1 year, because you are sitting in August 2019. So you are saying to your friend, in less than 1 year, in just a couple of months from now, this whole world is going to come to a dead halt. So your friend says, what do you mean? What is the meaning of saying the world will come to a dead halt? So you say to your friend, it means that the skies will be empty of planes. No planes will fly. No trains will run. No buses will run. All public transport will shut down. All movie halls will shut down. All casinos will shut down. The whole of Las Vegas will be dead. Right? Cruises will shut down. Holidays, people will not take them. They will not go to resorts. Resorts will shut down. Hotels will shut down. Great big corporations will shut down. Big multinational companies will shut down. People will start working from home. Not just ITS companies, not just people doing medical transcription. You and I will be working from our home. There will be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who will lose jobs, who will be out of jobs. Right? All of us, not only the Japanese did it always, but all of us are going to be walking around with masks. entire cities will be locked down. Your friend will say, what do you mean locked down? So you will say to your friend, lockdown means that you will not be able to leave your house day or night. And if there is an emergency, you will have to get a special permit from the police to leave your house, even to go to the hospital. So you will say, well, what about food? Your problem. You will not be able to, if you leave your house, you will be arrested. You will be beaten by the police. And if you think I'm exaggerating, see what's happening in India. So your friend is telling you this whole story. Tell me, what would have been your reaction? I mean, I can elaborate this. I won't do that because you know the story, right? You know the story. I know the story. We are living this story. 1 year ago, if your friend had told you this whole thing, what would be your reaction? You know what my reaction would have been? My reaction would have been to say, you know something? I think that stuff you are smoking is doing something to your brain. Right? I told you, don't do that. Don't smoke that stuff, not good for you. I think something has gone wrong with you. Whole world will come to a stop, planes won't fly, hotels will shut. Are you mad? Are you totally crazy? Are you mad? There will be no, the Haramain Sharifain will shut down. You will not be able to go and make Umrah. You will not be able to go and make ziyarah at the Rawda of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The salah in the Haramain will be done by the Imam and some of the cleaning people and some of the officials who are there. 20 people will pray Salatul Fajr in Masjid al-Nabawi al-Sharif. And you know what? You know what the Imam used to say? Istaw, Suddul Khalal, Hadu Bainal Manakibi wal Aqdam. You know, the Imam will not say that anymore. The Imam will not say that anymore. Because Salah, first of all, masajid will be shut. And where a masjid is open, people are going to be praying standing 6 feet apart. Forget about shoulder to shoulder. The saf will not be characterized by people standing shoulder to shoulder. The saf will be characterized by 6 feet of space between two worshippers. And then your friend will say, you know what? In this time, Ramadan will come and there will be no Taraweeh. There will be no iftar parties. And for the Hyderabadis, you know what he will say? He will say, you know, all of these fancy marriages, all of these ostentatious weddings that Yawar Baig used to talk against and keep telling you, don't do that, simplify your weddings. You are going to be performing the wedding of your son or your daughter in your house with 5 people, 6 people, 8 people. People will say, people would have said, if your friend had told you all of this, you would have said you have gone mad. I mean, really, I have nothing to say. I think you have gone crazy. My brothers and sisters, what did it take Allah to make all of this happen? And believe me, we have not seen the end of this. We have not seen the end. People are talking about vaccine. They've been searching for the AIDS vaccine for the last 40 years. They've got an influenza vaccine which you have to keep taking booster shots. My brothers and sisters, what did it take Allah make all of this happen? One virus. One virus. Somebody did this calculation. I don't trust any of these calculations. I don't have the math in my head to be able to verify that, and wallah alam. But somebody did calculation. I'm sure you've all heard this because this is all WhatsApp University education. Huh? And that person said that if all the coronaviruses that exist from the first one that was detected till the one that is now, if they were all collected together, they would weigh less than 1 gram. And of course, Allah knows best, because the virus is so small that you can't even see it with the naked eye. You need an electron microscope to see it. What did it take Allah? One virus. To stop us, to give us a chance to come to our senses, to give us a chance to understand that we had better obey Allah or else. My brothers and sisters, really seriously ask yourself this question. The first and foremost, the most fundamental point and principle of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is salah. When masajid had to be shut down to try to contain COVID infection, a lot of people made a lot of noise. Lot of people made a lot of noise, lot of people criticized others. They criticized masjid committees, they criticized, for example, when the Haramain were shut down, they said the Saudis have no iman, yeah, they have all become murtad, they have no shame and this and that. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. How sad, how shameful is that? That you accuse another Muslim brother of not having iman. Did you go into his heart to see if he has iman or not? People were taking decisions, crying tears of blood. Ask me. The MHMIC, the Mahmoud Habib Masjid and Islamic Center has been shut down, and I am a key decision maker in that decision. We have our Majlis who decides, but I am one of the key decision makers in that. You ask me how painful that was. And if you think now at Hajj, when in order to contain and in order to protect people from the coronavirus, from COVID-19, when the Saudi authorities restricted the number of Hajj pilgrims to 10,000, and all the steps that they took of first quarantining and then checking and so on and so forth, and the whole Hajj, alhamdulillah, was completed without any casualties. There were people who criticized and who made big speeches. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Go make istighfar and tawbah. The Saudis are not paying me to say this. I'm not sanctioning everything that is happening in Saudi Arabia. I'm just saying that in this particular case, in order to imagine if Hajj had happened the way it normally happens, and if 2 million, 3 million people had all collected together in one place like this, what would have happened when there was an outbreak of COVID and you would have seen hundreds and thousands of dead people, bodies lying everywhere? You would have liked that? I'm talking about obedience, understanding who Allah is. You might say, what does this have to do with Ibrahim alayhi salam? It has everything to do with Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَقَالَ لَهُ رَبُّ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ. Allah said, submit. He said, I have submitted. If you recognize the glory and majesty of Allah, and this is what I'm saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us to a stop. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going? We said, no, hold on. I don't have time to answer that. I am busy. I am busy. I will tell you when I am free. So Allah made you free. Allah made you free. Allah locked you up in your house. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shut the doors of His house for you and me. And Allah said, stay at home. Worship me from home. And of course, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, anyone who dies from a pandemic, from a epidemic, dies a shaheed. Anyone who dies with Iman because of a pandemic, dies a shaheed. Remember, we all have to die. We all have to die one day anyway. So if you died of diabetes or you died of, cardiac arrest or something, may Allah give you Jannatul Firdaus in any case. But I'm saying you would not have died a shaheed. But if you died of COVID-19 or you died of some kind of pandemic, then you die a shaheed. And remember, if you do not die, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if there is an epidemic, take precautions. Stay inside your house. Do not leave your house. Confine yourself, quarantine yourself. We didn't use the term, that is what it means. And he said, if the thing passes and you are alive and healthy in your house, you will be counted among the shuhada, among the martyrs. What more can you ask? If you die, you are a martyr. If you live, you are still a martyr. Inshallah. This is the mercy of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the test. And the test is difficult, it is tough. But it is hugely beneficial. Because it shut us down. Allah said, stop everything you are doing. Including going to the masjid. Today a lot of people are, when the masjid is shut down, a lot of people made a lot of money. Oh, masjid band ho gayi, masjid khulli thi waqt kab gaya ho tum? Masjid has been shut down. Masjid is shut down. When the masjid was open, when did you go? Begged and pleaded with you, please come, you don't come. You're busy. Now when the masjid is shut, you want to make a noise. Huh? My brothers and sisters, come to your senses. Come to your senses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this thing to us to show His authority, to show His power, to show His control. All the money in the world cannot stop COVID. All the weapons in the world cannot stop COVID. All the political gimmickry in the world cannot stop COVID. Right? All the big titles and the big sheikhs and the big turbans and the big crowns and everything cannot stop COVID. All this dua is doing nothing for COVID. I'm asking the people, the ulama, what happened to your dua? Seriously ask yourself this question. Submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make istighfar, make istighfar, make istighfar. Day and night make istighfar, because that is the only thing which will save us. فَاسْتَغْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. Make istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, oh Allah, we have sinned. We have sinned. We are criminals. We do knowingly. To make a mistake because of lack of knowledge is one thing. To deliberately do something is a crime. It's not a mistake. You deal in interest. Is that a mistake? You lie, you cheat. Is that a mistake? You character assassinate your brothers. Is that a mistake? You go back on your word. You break your promises. You do not keep your promises. Are those mistakes? You take away people's rights. You deny your sisters their inheritance. You abuse your wives. You abuse your children. You do not give your children their right. And what is their right? Their right is not gadgets and gimmicks. Their right is tarbiyah. Their right is that they should be introduced to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalaluhu. Their right is that you should nurture them and you should mentor them. You don't do that. Is that a mistake? My brothers and sisters, time to wake up. Time to wake up. Because one of the things that COVID has done is it has suddenly made us understand that we are mortal. that this life is not going to go on forever, that this life is going to come to a halt, and we are going to be rudely awakened. Before that happens, wake up. إذ قال له ربه أسلم قال أسلمت لرب العالمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, submit. He said, I have submitted. Alhamdulillah. My brothers and sisters, when you submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the joyride begins. Because then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your kafil. Allah is in control anyway. But there is a difference between being in control and correcting you and being in control and carrying you. Allah is your kafil. Allah will provide you from sources you cannot imagine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you things in ways you cannot imagine. Let me end with one of my favorite stories, the story of Hatim al-Asam, rahmatullahi alayhi. You've heard this story from me many times, and inshallah you will hear many times more. This is one of my favorite stories, absolutely top stories. Hatim al-Asam, rahmatullahi alayhi, was a great tabi'i. He was a great scholar. He lived in the time of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahmatullahi alayhi. There is a recording, there's a narration of his meeting with Imam Ahmad. Now Hatim al-Asam, rahmatullahi alayhi, one day he had this one year he had this great feeling that he should go for Hajj. And he was known for tawakkul. He was a man who was known for tawakkul. His brand of tawakkul was, he said, anything which is zaid al-zaruri. He used to say what is more than necessary, and by zaruri is something which is critical to survival. Anything more than that, he would give it away in charity. So obviously he was not a wealthy man. He was poor. So he collected some money, which was just enough for the fare. I mean, those days they used to go by caravan, so it was not a fare as in a ticket, but what was required for him to go. So there he is in the house, he is making dua, Ya Allah, find me, provide me with some source. And one day, he asked his go and leave something here for us, then go, otherwise don't go. Now Hatim al-Asam was very sad, rahmatullahi alayhi. So one day he's sitting there with tears in his eyes, his little daughter comes. She looks at him, she says, yeah, Abi, what happened to you? Why are you so sad? He said to her, I have this great desire to go for Hajj this year. This is Allah put in my heart. But I'm not able to go because, we don't have enough money. And this is what I said to your mother, this is what she said. So I'm sad. And everything, all the caravans have gone, the last one is there. This little girl, she said to him, yeah, Abi, don't worry. I will talk to my mom. You make plans and you go. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is for us. Tawakkal ala Allah. She went and talked to her mother, she convinced her, and so on and so forth. Hatim al-Asam, rahmatullahi alayhi, went for Hajj. Now, as they were traveling and going in the desert, the head of the caravan, who runs the whole thing, he got bitten by a scorpion or something. He was in excruciating pain. Hatim al-Asam, rahmatullahi alayhi, prayed for him. He made dua, and the man was cured. Now that man was so happy, he was so, he was so grateful that he said to Hatim al-Asam, your whole Hajj, your whole trip until you come back here is on me. So he returned his money, he said, I will not take any money from you. This whole trip is on me. Hatim al-Asam, alhamdulillah, he was very happy. He made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He thanked Allah and he said, Ya Allah, this is for me. Please provide for my family. Now, back home, things are getting tough. Things are getting more and more difficult until they get to a point where now even the food in the house is almost gone. Food is over. They have no money. And the mother, Hatim al-Asam's wife, the little girl's mother, she is upset. And she says to this girl, you are the cause for all this. You persuaded me, and now he's gone. And this girl is very happy. She is, laughing and smiling all the time. So the mother said, what are you so happy about? What's wrong with you? We are in dire straits, we are in difficulties and so on, and you are very happy. And you are the cause for all this. The girl said, look, who went? The Razik or the Marzuk? Eh? Who went? The one who feeds or the one who eats? The Razik or the Marzuk? The mother said, the Marzuk. She said, then why are you worried? Why are you worried? One among those who eats went, let him go. The one who feeds is here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us. Then this girl went into the inner part of the house, into her room. And she raised her hand and she said, Ya Allah, help us. Ya Allah, we have tawakkul on you. Ya Allah, help us. This is the difficulty I have. The girl's hands were not lowered. They heard a knock on the door. They went to see. There was the ADC, there was the aide de camp, the army officer who was the ADC of the governor of that province, the Amir. He said, the Amir is passing by, we ran out of water, can you give us some water to drink? So they said, of course. So they got some water, they put it into a nice jar, they put it in a nice tray with a tray cloth and so on. After all, it's going to the Amir. And his army officer took it. Now when this Amir drank this water, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in this. And this water tasted so beautiful. This Amir was so happy. He drank this water. He said, SubhanAllah, what kind of water is this? This is so beautiful, so sweet. So he asked this ADC, he said, where did you get the water from? So the ADC says, Your Excellency, from that house over there. He said, whose house is that? He said, that house is the house of Hatim al-Hasan. The Amir says, the scholar? He said, yes. He said, come, I want to meet him. The ADC said, yeah, Amir, he is not there. He is gone for Hajj. Amir said, well, in that case, I am responsible for his family. Yeah? And then the Amir rode towards this house. He was wearing a belt. Now the belt of the Amir is encrusted with jewels. It's pockets with gold coins in it and so on, and the belt itself is very valuable. The Amir removed his belt and he threw it over the wall of the house. And then it didn't stop there. And then the Amir announced, and he said, whoever loves me, do what I did. And the next thing you know, there are bags of money, there are belts, there are all kinds of things flying over the wall of that house. Imagine, these people are sitting there, suddenly this belt comes, falls on the ground, pocket opens, gold coins everywhere, then bag after bag. That whole courtyard is filled with gold coins. There is enough gold there, there are enough jewels and whatnot there to last them not until Hatim al-Hasan rahmatullahi comes back, but for the rest of their life. Now everyone is very happy, the mother is happy, everyone is happy, brothers and sisters. This little girl is crying. Yeah? I'm talking about إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ. I'm talking about the Sunnah of Ibrahim alayhi salam. This little girl is crying. So the mother says to her, what is wrong with you? Eh? What is wrong with you? You are a strange creature. I mean, when we had all kinds of difficulties, you are laughing. When there was not food to eat in the house, you are laughing. Now when we have all of this gold, enough to last for the rest of our lifetime, you are crying. What is the problem with you? The girl said, my mother, I am crying because all of this gold is the result of one slave of Allah looking at us with karam, looking at us with mercy. All of this gold, enough to last us for the rest of our lives, is the result of one slave of Allah looking at us with karam, looking at us with mercy. What would be our state when Rabbul Alameen looks at us with mercy? Yeah? Brother and sister, I'm talking about knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the meaning of Islam. Islam is not blind obedience, it is obedience with complete knowledge. To the extent that is possible by the term complete knowledge for the slave. Knowing who Allah is, knowing what Allah can do, and the heart filled with love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with a yearning to meet Him, Jalla Jalaluhu. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with all of you, never to be displeased, but to open your hearts to His glory and majesty, to show you His signs, so that you have complete and total faith in Him, Jalla Jalaluhu. And nothing, there's no fear in your heart. Nothing shakes you. Nothing phases you. Because you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Lahul mulku wa lahul hamd. Yuhyi wa yumit. Wa huwa hayyul ladhi la yamut. Biyadihi al-khayr. Innaka ala kulli shayin qadir. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم.